Welcome back to another episode of the EFA podcast. Today I am joined by Mattias, as always.
Hello.
Today, obviously, Super Bowl is coming up in about 2 days. By the time you're hearing this, it'll be one. Exciting, Bengals and Rams. No one would have ever thought this would be the Super Bowl. I think before even when the playoffs started. So yeah, we're gonna go over the Super Bowl and give our predictions for that. The award show for the NFL happened last night, so we'll go over the awards and what we think about if those were accurate or not. And then if we have time, depending on how long we've been going for, we'll talk about the NBA trade deadline because there's some big trades going on in there. But just get right into it, Matthias. What are your thoughts on this Super Bowl matchup between the Rams and the Bengals?
I mean, okay, so I just saw a post on Instagram like a few minutes ago, and I found it very relatable. So I'll say, like, it's really going to suck to see Joe Burrow or Matt Stafford lose. I feel like they're both
Yeah,
such likable guys. And I personally, just team wise, prefer to see the Bengals win. Obviously, they're young. They're honestly kind of a pretty incomplete team to be like all the way here in the playoffs.
yeah,
And I think that like as they build, they'll get back to this point because Joe Burrow is just starting out. But I think that obviously for Matt Stafford, if he gets it done, this is like a major career maker. Like this could probably be the difference between him being a Hall of Fame guy because he's always had the stats. He's always been like a good QB. He's just played on the lines. So I mean, I think that either way, there's really careers being made, as there is in any Super Bowl. But I think that particularly this year, it just feels like there's the Rams in particular feel like they put a lot out there on the line, and they spent a lot of money, really sacrificed their future with how many picks they gave away, and like they're just going all in. They have to win this, and it just feels like the teams are almost in complete opposite situations because the Bengals are so young and on the up and coming.
yeah, yeah. No, definitely. Like the Bengals, yeah, the Bengals are young and the Rams have all like not washed, but like veteran. Like they're mostly made of veteran guys. Um, I agree. I think it's gonna. I think it would. It's definitely gonna suck to see both of the like. Whoever wins, I'll be happy for, but I'll also feel just as much like I'll also be just as upset with whoever loses. I think if I had to pick I agree. I think team wise, I think the Bengals. It would be more fun to see the Bengals win, considering they haven't won a Super Bowl yet. It's been like what was it? 88 was their last Super Bowl, so like 35 years since they last made the Super Bowl, and obviously like everyone. I don't think there's a single person that had the Bengals win more than like predicted them to win more than 5 games before the season. So like they're the last team you would have expected to have. Like if you told me on September 1st or whenever the season started that the Bengals were going to be in the Super Bowl, I would have called you crazy.
Yeah, I
So
agree. And like the betting odds and the we've all seen like the TikTok compilations where it's just
yeah,
people going like, I think that they're gonna win 2 games. It's just crazy.
it really is. It really is, especially for how young this team. Like if this was like if the Rams were this team, like the team that was like, oh, they're gonna win like 3 games, but considering how much veteran like star power that they have, obviously they didn't have Von Miller or OBJ in the beginning of the season, but if you like, I think you could probably make a case for the Rams being like if everyone had them, you know what I'm trying to say. Like if they were in the same situation that the Bengals were in the beginning of the season, I think they would by far like I would not laugh in your face nearly as much as I would if you told me the Bengals were.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
since the Bengals are so young, I think that just makes it that much more impressive.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think that the Rams are like a very complete roster and just very well built, well coached. And I think they were my NFC prediction for the Super Bowl in the beginning here, but then I kind of grew off of them during the year as some other like contenders in the NFC kind of made themselves known. But they're it, they have a lot of players that it'd be exciting to watch get a win here.
Yeah, I think we both like I want to say we both had Chiefs Rams as the preseason prediction. It could have been Chiefs Packers for me, but I do remember you having the Rams. But I remember last year, whatever, like in the four Super Bowl predictions we did throughout the season, like I think three out of the four of them we had the exact same. So I wouldn't have put it past us to have the exact same Super Bowl going into this season. But um, adding on to like who I'd want to win, like obviously the Rams, like not necessarily Von Miller, although he really does deserve another ring, and that would cement himself. I think it would cement himself in the Hall of Fame with a Super Bowl MVP and two Super Bowl rings, and potentially two Super Bowl MVPs depending on how well he plays. But
Yeah, I agree.
but like not necessarily him, but like Odell and what he's gone through in Cleveland and New York, and obviously Stafford, who had so many good years in Detroit, but just couldn't. The team couldn't get it done. So like, and also OBJ's on his last year, or although he only signed a 1 year deal, so he's technically a free agent next year. Although he'll probably resign if they win the Super Bowl. Von Miller, I think, has 1 more year left on his contract, but it would the Bengals have a much better chance of getting here again, and I really want to see Stafford win a ring because that I think that would also put him in the Hall of Fame. So that like it's really important for him to get this ring, but again, it's really hard for me to pick a favorite here because like I'll be happy either way.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if we're talking about who I think will win, I have to go with the Rams just because like I said, they're more complete. Like you've been saying, they're veterans. A lot of them have been maybe not particularly in this situation, but deep in the playoffs. And like the Zach Taylor is not super experienced with this high pressure, and obviously McVay has been here before. But I think that yeah, the Rams, both offenses I think are going to do pretty well, and the Bengals O line is probably going to struggle with the Rams defense. So I feel like the difference maker is how the Bengals defense handles the Rams offense.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think I was telling you today. I think if the Bengals defense can stop the Rams offense, then I think the Bengals are going to win this game. Mostly because I really like I've said it every week though, like the Bengals they're not going to be able to make it past this defensive line with like the Chiefs, the Titans who even like the Titans destroyed Burrow in that game with like 8 or 9 sacks or whatever it was. And they
Yeah,
still managed to win. So I'm not going to completely count them out of this game, but that they've never seen a defensive front like the Rams. Like they haven't seen it in the playoffs. You know, Jeffrey Simmons is good. He like that's a good defensive guy right there. And then the Chiefs last week had Chris Jones and Frank Clark was coming off the edge, and he looked pretty good too. And They won that game, but you can't beat Aaron Donald and Von Miller coming from opposite sides, and especially since Aaron Donald's going to be on Akeem Adeniji, who got absolutely embarrassed by Simmons, and Donald is a much not I wouldn't say much better, but definitely better player than Jeffrey Simmons is. So I think that's it's all going to come down to, like you said, I think it's going to be the Bengals defense is going to be that X factor in this game. And if they can make stops and get create good field position for the offense, all Cincinnati's going to need to do is kick field goals with McPherson. And I think that'll be the game changer if it's going to be a defensive game, is that McPherson is better than Matt Gay. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was not counting the Bengals off. I was just
no,
trying to
no,
make.
I know.
Yeah, I was just making my prediction. I mean, like, I think I saw a stat the other day that, bro, even though he got sacked 9 times, had like a 75% completion rate in that game. Like, he plays well under
Yeah,
pressure. He's not quite as athletic as like a Kyler Murray or like a Lamar Jackson who can make it away from the sack, but he stands under fire and he like takes it.
but
But
but how many sacks are you going to be able to escape against Aaron Donald, Von Miller, and that front though? Like he probably will be able to. He'll probably be able to get out of a few, but I think it might be another 8 sack game, and it's still like you said, you can't count him out after that because he plays good under pressure, but it's going to be a lot for that offensive line to handle, especially how it's just not good.
yeah, I mean, I have pretty high hopes for the Super Bowl. I feel like the last few have been not amazingly interesting. I'm hoping that this is the best one since the Patriots and the Eagles.
Yeah, that one. Even like everyone hates on the Patriots Rams Super Bowl, but like if you want defense, like if you are a defensive guy, that was a really good Super Bowl to watch. And yeah, it was pretty boring, but I mean the Patriots won, so that's always a plus for me. But I don't think we're ever gonna beat the Patriots Falcons Super Bowl, even how one sided that was the entire game until the last 17 minutes or whatever it was. But
Well,
yeah,
yeah, that's probably like one of, if not the best NFL game of all time, just because of that
probably.
15 minutes.
Yeah. Uh yeah, but like this is going to be the hardest Super Bowl for me to pick from because like pick favorite. I mean, like last year it was Chiefs and Bucks and I was rooting for Brady for to get his 7th ring. The year before was Chiefs Niners and I was rooting for the Niners cuz I don't like the Chiefs. Um and then the year before that was the Patriots Super Bowl. Like the 3 years before that was Patriots. So, like, this is going to be like, if I want to pick, if someone asks me, who do you want to win the Super Bowl? This is like, one day it could be the Rams, one day it could be the Bengals. It's not gonna be one definite answer until, like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna root for Stafford and the Rams to do it, but like the Bengals that would just be so cool to see.
I agree. Yeah, I think you can see it as like a win-win with whatever
Exactly.
happens.
Win-win or a lose-lose.
Yeah, yeah. It will be tough to see whoever lose because they're obviously like the quarterbacks that man both teams are charming and deserve it.
Yeah.
But and they have like that swagger. But I don't. I think that also at the same time you can be happy for whoever wins. So yeah, like I said, I'm hoping for a good one. I'm pretty sure that we'll get one. Obviously, last year it was basically just watching Mahomes run around the pocket and just get chased for like the entire time. That was not incredibly interesting. And then the Chiefs Niners Super Bowl was pretty good, but I still feel like this one could be better than that. As a person who's not a Patriots fan, the Eagles game was pretty good.
No, even
But
as a Patriots fan, that game was good. Like it came down to like the last few minutes. It was, I want to say it was like after the 2 minute warning where Brady got sacked and the Brady got the strip sack on him. But
yeah,
it was still an entertaining game. Obviously, it sucks that the Patriots lost, but yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Do you have a score prediction for this game?
um, all right. So my prediction is 35-24. And that's to the Rams. And I feel like it's going to be decently high scoring. And, I think that neither, like, the Bengals will be able to put up points, but will be under fire a lot. And the Rams will maybe not completely have their way because Trey Hendrickson, Jesse Bates, the Bengals defense is not horrible, but I
No.
think that they'll be able to do well.
And I think the opposite. I think the Rams are going to win, but I think it's going to be closer, and I think it's going to be a lot less scoring going on. Like I'm thinking like 2017, 17-14 type game. But I'm going to go Rams 20, Bengals 17. I think is going to be my final prediction. Um,
Yeah.
I just think both defenses are better than. Although the Rams offense is still good. I think the Rams offense is better than the Bengals defense, but I think the Bengals defense is going to. I think they'll overshadow the Rams because they're gonna have to win this game. I think Zach Taylor's prepared them enough for that. So I think the Bengals defense is going to show up, and I think it's going to be a defensive game, but not so defensive that it's as boring as the Rams Patriots game was. So
Yeah. Yeah.
2017, I'm going to go Rams win.
That's a good score.
All right, so moving on. The award show happened last night. I did not watch, but I was following along with the awards and everything. I think we'll leave MVP for last, although I think that was probably one of the most, like that and Defensive Rookie of the Year were the two most, I think, clear cut um, awards like to be given out. But to start it off, I think we'll start off with the. Uh, what do you want to start off with? I'll let you pick.
Um, we've been talking about him already. We could just start off with Joe Burrow and the comeback player of the year.
All right. Yeah, yeah, we can do that. All right. So yeah. Uh, Obviously, it's not Alex Smith. It's not an Alex Smith injury, but I also don't think that's what, like, you know, we're not rooting for injuries here, but you know, it was a toss up between him and Dak, I think. And just like I know it's supposed to be like the vote's supposed to go down, like it's not supposed to take the postseason into account, but I think Joe Burrow making the Super Bowl definitely played a part in the pick of Joe Burrow, because I don't believe that the vote goes down until after the conference championship games. I honestly don't know when it happens, but
Yeah, there's
um,
also just in general a very positive vibe around Joe Burrow right now, like on social media and stuff. Like everyone loves him right now, and I think that yeah, like you said, I mean it's not an Alex Smith story because I mean the Alex Smith story is just crazy.
that has to go down as one of like the best.
Yeah,
Obviously, for the best story for the right reasons in NFL history.
yeah. But I mean, an ACL is nothing to scoff at.
No,
It's a long recovery, but and can leave like lasting damage. And
yeah,
so I think that him having the year he has and leading the team like has, he definitely deserved it.
Yeah, no, he definitely deserved it. And then Dak's injury was like I mean, his foot was completely out of place, and he was really good this year too. Um, but obviously we had the conversation with Aiden 2 weeks ago about if Joe Burrow is the top five quarterback, and I think Joe Burrow is better than Dak. He was better than Dak Prescott this year, and obviously led the like probably one of the most, I would say one of the most I can't think of the word. God, that's gonna bug me, and it's such an easy word too. But yeah, he led a young team to the Super Bowl. So inexperienced, that was the word I was looking for. He led an inexperienced team to the Super Bowl, and that's huge. So I would say I would agree with the Joe Burrow pick, but I wouldn't be mad if someone argued Dak Prescott.
Yeah, yeah, that I agree.
All right, so the next one I have on my list is Coach of the Year. That went to Mike Vrabel. Like I think of Coach of the Year as like someone who like they missed the playoffs the year before and then worked all the way back up into the playoffs. And Mike Vrabel, they were the 4 seed last year. Think they were like 10-6 or something. And they had a good season. They went 12. Was it 12-5? I think
Uh, yeah, I think so.
they went 12-5. Good season. I mean, with I guess the injuries he dealt with like AJ Brown was gone, Derrick Henry was gone, Julio Jones was gone. Um, I think Dupree even missed a bit of time too. The fact that he was able to get this team like not even only into the playoffs, but as the number one seed. I mean, again, they lost to the Bengals in the first game, but like as the number one seed, that's impressive. But like I would look at more like Zach Taylor, who turned around a 2-14 team, or two was it 2-14 last year, or were they better than that? It might have been like
Uh,
4-12 or something.
yeah, it was definitely something down there because they were decent while Burrow was healthy. They won like a few
Yeah,
games.
I want to say like 4-12, 5-11, but he was able to turn that team around and lead them to the playoffs. Not and again, not that it should affect the vote, but he led them all the way to the Super Bowl. That's impressive. Bill Belichick, obviously, is one of the greatest coaches of all time, and the fact that he was able to turn around like what everyone thought was a rebuild, and we weren't going to see the Patriots in the playoffs for a long time. What he was able to do with Mac Jones this year, and the little receiving core that he had with Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, Nelson Aguilar, like that's not a good receiving core. The fact that he was able to bring that team back in the playoffs, and obviously the defense stuck towards the end of the season, and we got blown out by Buffalo. But like I think I would consider him up there. But I think the two like Mike Vrabel and Zach Taylor, I would say, are the two guys I would say it should probably be them.
Yeah, so I feel like how Coach of the Year should be judged, in my opinion, is taking a roster that has. So I think it's finding success with a roster that, with the amount of skill it has, should have a lot less success.
Yeah,
So I agree that Mike Vrabel, because of the injuries, the Titans are at full health. I think a very good roster. Like
yeah,
succeeding like they did is not all that surprising. But again, like you said, they're kind of stripped of all their stars and best players this year, or at least on the offense. And I definitely think it's impressive and that he deserves to be up there. I also agree that the Zach Taylor pick would not have, like, it wouldn't upset me because th- although they have an amazing offense in terms of skill position players. Their O line could be improved. It's like middle of the pack to lower middle of the pack, and their defense has again Trey Hendrickson, Jesse Bates, uh, like other people on it. It they I still feel like they're definitely overperforming for
Oh yeah,
what
no,
they have,
absolutely.
like by a long shot. And so I think both of those guys took what they had and made more out of it. They established the culture and, you know, made them just fight every game, I guess, like inspired them.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, I don't know how I would pick in between them, but I definitely think both of them are good candidates.
Honestly, the fact that Mike Vrabel was able to get 12 wins with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback is like I think that's good enough. But like Tannehill was so bad in that playoff game. Like so bad. To start off a playoff game and throw an interception on the first play is just like at that point you know this guy can't be your quarterback.
Yeah, and I mean it's tough because for a lot of this year, like you mentioned, he had no weapons. He did not have like with Derrick Henry. It has to be completely different playing against a defense who can expect Derrick Henry to one who can't. Because
Yeah.
obviously, if a defense is expecting Derrick Henry, they're going to stack the box and make passing a lot easier. Without him to take the pressure off, or like maybe in the playoffs, he wasn't like I wasn't able to watch this game, so I didn't notice. But like if he wasn't as respected as much, like or feared, I guess, because he was coming off of an injury, then passing would be again just as difficult as normal. So like I don't think he's a horrible QB, but for a team that might want to chase the Super Bowl with the talent that they have right now, I do agree that he's kind of on the lower end of like skill.
He he's he is a he is a quarterback. I'll say that. Like I just can't see him being like he's kind of like a Ryan Fitzpatrick. Like I feel like he'll have his games, he'll he'll have his good games, he'll have his bad games, but like he's not gonna lead a team to a Super Bowl. And he
Yeah.
was clearly the reason that they lost that game, in my opinion. Obviously, Derrick Henry didn't look like Derrick Henry because he had an iron plate in his foot or whatever it was, and he ran for like 60 yards or whatever. Like Deontay Foreman looked better than he did, but you're not going to get to a Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill, and he's a starting quarterback. Like, do I think he should be a backup? No, I think he could be a starting quarterback on pro- probably a f- I would say like 6 or 7 NFL teams. But I just don't think if Mike Vrabel and the Titans are trying to win a Super Bowl, Ryan Tannehill is not the answer. Like Ryan Tannehill is like a bridge quarterback. Like it's a quarterback that someone who doesn't necessarily absolutely need a quarterback. They want one from a draft, but like this year's draft class sucks for not. I shouldn't say sucks for quarterbacks, but it's not as packed as the last 2 to 3 years have been. Like he's a quarterback where you get him for a year while you wait for a guy to come out of the draft. Like that's kind of where I see Ryan Tannehill as a quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I I think that he definitely does have those flute games where he goes off,
Yeah,
but I do think that he's just the kind of guy that his true colors will come out at some point during any like given playoff run, and he'll just like I don't want to say crumble under pressure, but like not perform.
yeah, yeah. No, definitely. The next award, I think we'll just go straight to Defensive Rookie of the Year, which is the obvious. Like you can't give it to anybody else. It's
Yeah,
Micah Parsons. It's unanimous. There's the only argument you could make is Pat Surtain. And if Micah in a non Micah Parsons year, Pat Surtain wins this award easily, I think.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, I think that there were some other defensive talents as rookies this year. Um, like the Chargers cornerback whose name is escaping me right now. But I
Asante
think
Samuel.
yeah, yeah. I think that you're talking about a guy that could be considered for defensive player of the year. He was that good.
Yeah.
I I think that the Cowboys are obviously lucky to have him. I think he really turned around their defense this year, even though they didn't make
Oh,
it too far.
absolutely.
Yeah, even though they didn't make it too far in the playoffs. Yeah, I feel like before this year, their defense was kind of a laughing stock, and now you
Yeah.
really have to
Yeah.
watch them. They, I think that he, he's obviously seeming like he's generational already, and I think that this, like you said, I think this is one that we already knew before that this was going to happen.
Like before the season even ended. Like I don't think there's anyone you couldn't have given it to anyone else by week 15. Like week 15 it was Micah Parsons' rookie of the year.
Yeah, I agree.
And like you said, like obviously TJ Watt won defensive player of the year. Um but I honestly think like a lot of people say Miles Garrett. I honestly think that Micah Parsons was the runner up for that award. And that I think Lawrence Taylor is the only person who's won both, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. I think he is. And I Miles Garrett was amazing at the beginning of the year, but I feel like if I remember right, he was kind of slowed down a little bit at the end. Um
Yeah.
and so I agree that I think Micah Parsons at least caught up to about level with him in the defensive player of the year race.
Yeah. It was like I mean I doubt you watched the Pro Bowl because it was awful, but I watched the first half and it was I mean, obviously you don't want to get hurt, so I'm not like bashing it, but like Micah Parsons was the only one who looked like he wanted to go out and play football. Like
Yeah.
he's just a competitor, and I watched him in the skill showdown. He was running around in 35-degree weather with his shirt off for the um friggin' speed race or whatever, and beat Tyreek Hill, who
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean didn't have the greatest get off of ever, but he still beat Tyreek Hill, who's the fastest player in the league. So he's just a competitor all around, and he's going to dominate this league. He's going to be like an Aaron Donald type of like. Obviously, Donald's not a linebacker, but he's gonna have. I think he'll have that same effect that Donald has on the Rams. That I think Parsons will have that same effect on Dallas for years to come.
Yeah, I agree. He's the kind of guy that after the rookie year you can almost already I'm already pretty certain that we'll see him in Canton 20 years from now.
Yeah, if he keeps this up, no doubt.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I think we'll just stick with rookies. So offensive rookie of the year went to Jamar Chase, and obviously he's in the Super Bowl. I think the other candidate you could say is besides the two offensive linemen. I think who was it? It was Creed Humphrey, and there's another guy who was being considered too. I
Um.
can't remember who it was. Oh, Slater, Rashawn
Yeah.
Slater for L.A. But other than that, I think Mac Jones was the only other option, and along with the Patriots defense, I think the entire Patriots team just like slowed down after their bye week, and that and then obviously after the Patriots bye week, the Bengals played the Chiefs, and Jamar Chase went off for like 260 something yards, and that was his Heisman moment, we'll call it, or Offensive Rookie of the Year moment. Uh, I think after that game, I think there was no doubt. Like before that, it was going to be it was the conversation was, is it going to be Mac Jones? Is it going to be Jamar Chase? And then he did that against a good Chiefs defense, and I think everybody in their right mind was like, okay, it's not even a question anymore. It has to be Chase. And normally this is a quarterback, it's a quarterback award. Like last year, Herbert won it over Jefferson, and there was like I honestly thought that they would give it to Mac Jones because he's a quarterback, but I think Jamar Chase absolutely deserves this.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess here's how I see it. I think Mac Jones had a very good, and to me, and I think a lot of people, a very surprisingly good rookie year.
Yeah,
I think that it was good, but I think that Jamar Chase just had the best rookie wide receiver year of all time. In like 1 year after Justin Jefferson had one of the best of all time.
yeah.
And I just think that if Mac Jones won out over him, that'd be just like too much QB bias. I like Justin
That would
Jefferson.
almost be Aaron Donald over T.J. Watt last year
Yeah,
levels.
yeah, I agree. And like Justin Herbert, you were saying even though he won it over Justin Jefferson, I do think that obviously excitement level when it comes to watching a player plays a part in the award. And
Yeah,
Justin Herbert is a much, much more interesting player to watch in terms of play style because he's a lot more explosive
yeah.
and was also probably just a little bit better than Mac Jones was. But
I
I
think
think
no, I think Justin Herbert was a lot better than Mac Jones was rookie season. Considering Herbert only played, I think he played like one less game, or I guess two less games because of the extra game they added this season because he didn't start week one,
oh yeah.
and the amount of records he broke, I think he was far better than Mac Jones was this season.
Yeah. I agree. And but so back to Jamar Chase obviously. I He was just amazing this year. He came in, and I think him and Joe Burrow immediately had like all their chemistry back. There was the preseason stuff, which like a lot of
Yeah,
people
that
doubted him
was
for. I
including
think
me.
that's hilarious to look back on now, just because
That's
like
that's got he had to put on an act for the preseason because he was bad. Like he was bad. He had what like five or six drops. Like just drop, like not
yeah,
like there would be no one around him. He just dropped the ball. Like I don't think that was Jamar Chase. That was someone else pretending to be Jamar Chase.
yeah, maybe, but like you could say he was like a top 5 wide receiver this year. That's how good he
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
And I just think that, like you said, after a certain point in the season, I think Jamar Chase really broke away from Mac Jones and made it his award.
yeah. It was yeah no. After week 17, it was Jamar Chase's award to lose at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so since we're on the offensive topic, I think we'll just go into offensive player of the year, and that was Cooper Kupp. I'm not a huge fan of Cooper Kupp. Uh, don't ask me why. I don't know. He's just I
I know why.
he.
Fantasy
It's
and
not
Mark.
no. It's not fantasy. Like that's part of it, but like he's almost getting like Patrick Mahomes type of hype for a receiver, and I hate Patrick Mahomes because of how much he like media he gets, and I'm afraid that that's going to happen with Cooper Kupp. I mean, obviously he's a great player. So is Patrick Mahomes. Um, they're both great. Cooper Kupp had a great season this season, and I'm not trying to take that away from him. I would have rather seen Jonathan Taylor win because he was, he was it like 200 yards away from 2K, or was he at like he was close
I
to
think,
2000? I know that.
yeah, he was close. He might have been a little bit closer than that, like 150 or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Cup had the triple crown, so for
Yeah.
the receiving title. So like obviously he deserves it, and I'm not trying to take anything away from it. I'm not trying to say oh he should not have won this award, but I personally would have given it to Jonathan Taylor, but I'm not mad that Cooper Cup won.
Yeah. I don't have any bias against Cooper Cup. Honestly, I'm not exactly sure I know what you're talking about with the Patrick Mahomes type hype because I he had one of the best receiver seasons of all time, and there's no one trying to say like, oh, like if he goes on like this, he's gonna be the best wide receiver of all time. Like
He's
I haven't really seen anyone saying that or anything.
I should. It's nowhere near what Patrick Mahomes gets. Like it's nowhere near. I just feel like that's if he wins the Super Bowl. I just feel like this is what's going to happen. He's going to have that. Oh, Cooper Cup might be the greatest. He's going to be the greatest slot receiver of all time, or greatest receiver of all time. If he keeps these numbers up throughout the rest of his career, I I'm foreshadowing on what I think is going to happen. So I'm just starting to not like him now, so that I can say I didn't like him when it happens. If it doesn't happen, then Cooper Cup, you're a great guy.
Well, he's also starting like this dominance a little late. Like he's not old or anything, but
No,
he it's not like he's. Hold on, how old is he? Is he like 26?
I don't think he's that old. I want to say he's like 20. I guess that's the same age, like 24 or 25. Um,
He's somewhere in that range, and
he's
I
20.
do.
Oh shoot, he is 28 years old.
Oh yeah, yeah, he
He's
is not
getting
like a
up there.
veteran. Yeah, he's not a veteran, but he is not in his like beginning years anymore. I don't think that he can really put up like I don't want to never say never. I don't think, but I don't think that he can be the greatest wide receiver of all time.
No, I think
But
it's too late. I thought he was younger. I thought he was like
yeah,
third or fourth year. I didn't know he was 28.
yeah, and so I think he deserves this. Obviously, like you said, triple crown. He has been like we said like multiple times. You're not supposed to count the playoffs when it comes to awards, but he's been very good through the playoffs as well. Like like I said for
Even without the playoffs, I think he still deserved it in the regular season. Like
yeah,
he could have been. I don't want to say terrible in the postseason, but he could have not be nearly as good as he has been in the postseason, and I think he'd still win the award just based on what he did in the regular season.
yeah. And I have to say, if I feel like if you try to compare the season he had as a receiver to Taylor's season he had as a running back, it is slightly better.
Yeah,
But the one argument I can see for Taylor is that Taylor put that offense on his back. Like it is not without him, it
yeah.
is not a very good offense.
Jonathan
I could,
Taylor was the Jamar Chase of the Colts.
yeah, I I I could see the Rams offense finding success without Cup. Like I could see them turning to someone else.
Because
But
their
in the
receiving
end,
core is good.
yeah. But in the end, he was the guy who was there. He was the guy who had that it factor
Yeah,
with Matt Stafford, that like connection.
yeah.
And I think that I think that he does deserve this, even though we've trash talked him a little bit here.
Yeah, no, I think he deserves it again. Now that I found out that he's a lot older and has less time to dominate, and hopefully he doesn't get the media attention that Patrick Mahomes does, I'm just going to go out and say, I respect you, Cooper Cup, and I'm sorry for what I previously said.
I bet he will accept this apology.
Yeah, hopefully. I'll DM him on Instagram. I'll just tell him I'm sorry for slandering him. All right, and then defensive player of the year, and then MVP. I think that wraps it up. So defensive player of the year was T.J. Watt, and I think honestly this might have been unanimous too. Micah Parsons definitely had the. Again, I don't think I'd be mad with Micah Parsons, but I think TJ Watt was, 22 and a half sacks in 15 games is very impressive.
Yeah, I mean that ties the record, right?
Yes. I think it
I
actually beat I think Strahan's record was 21 and a half.
Oh, really?
I
Well,
think.
yeah, I think that honestly, I think he probably should have won it last year, and then this year he definitely deserved it. With Aaron Donald having a bit of a down year, Myles Garrett slowing down, Michael Parsons, even though he was there in that race, I don't think he was quite up there with T.J. Watt. I saw the video of him and J.J. Watt, like the moment they shared up on the stage. I thought that was pretty touching.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and he seems like a likable dude. Like I don't like the Steelers, but he seems like a good guy, and I I'm glad that he finally won this after dominating for a while, and you know not exactly getting cheated because he lost it to Aaron Donald, who is a fantastic player.
Yeah.
But I still think that this should be his second one, but since it is his first, like it's I don't know what I'm getting at, but it's exciting.
Yeah, yeah. It tied Michael Strahan's record was 22 and a half as well, so it tied it.
Yeah,
Um but speaking of touching moments, I don't know if did you see the Andrew Whitworth speech for Walter Payton Man of the Year?
I don't think I did.
It was so he's like really good in with the community and everything. And one of his so pretty much one of his first seasons in Cincinnati because he was drafted by Cincinnati. So one of his first seasons in Cincinnati, he was at like a boys and girls club, and was talking with one of the kids about like football and just how he can work and get to the NFL and like college stuff like that. And um, he was talking about they played the Lions this year, and one of the players ran up to him at the end of the game, and it was Derek Barnes, and that was the kid that he helped in whatever it was, like 2007. I don't know, but
Oh yeah, I heard that story. Yeah, I
that
did.
was like a really cool. That was a really cool story. But like I'm not a guy for like the speeches, but like that was a really good speech. I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah. I did hear about that story. That is pretty touching and just amazing to hear. Really.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Getting off topic, but Andrew Whitworth won Walter Payton Man of the Year. That was, I mean, that's not really a football related award, so we're not gonna go in depth on that. But MVP, there might be a bit of an argument you could make with this one. I don't know if you want to go into that.
Um, I mean, I could just say what it did for Aaron Rodgers. I want to hear who you think the argument is, but I think that this is really another like legacy builder for Aaron Rodgers. Another thing, like I feel like I've said this a few times, but another thing that we just all been seeing on social media is how he's one MVP off of Peyton Manning's record, and
Yeah.
that I think that although he might not have deserved it as a person because he seems like a dick,
Yeah,
I
yeah. That's
like
your favorite word.
yeah, but even though he might not have deserved it as a person, as a player, I think that he was on the team that during the regular season was probably the best team, and he led them and conducted like one of the better offenses in the league, and obviously has the stats to show for it. And I think that it whatever happens with him this offseason, I think that he can keep playing on a high level for a little bit longer. And really, he's already an all-time great, but like
Yeah.
if you add another ring to it or another MVP so that he has tied the record, he is just like really far up there. If
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Um, my argument, like the argument I think you could make is Tom Brady, just because of how like he's 44 and he led the league in a ton of stats, passing yardage and I think passing touchdowns are the two that come to mind. I can't remember if he definitely led in passing yardage. Passing touchdowns, I could be wrong. Um, but I don't disagree with it. Aaron Rodgers definitely deserves it, and yeah, he's a dick off the field, but I mean, that's not. They don't. The MVP isn't the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. It's the most valuable player, and I think he was the most valuable player to the Packers, to the Packers team. And I saw two things that I think are related, like not necessarily related to the Rodgers move, like what he's gonna do. But there's one that Peyton Manning won 4 MVPs and one Super Bowl with um, Indianapolis, and then moved to Denver, and that's
uh,
what Rodgers has right now. And
well, he
again,
only
that's
has
just what?
he only has one ring, right? Didn't you say Manning had two?
No, Manning has two. One
Oh,
was
oh,
with Denver though.
I
Before
see what
going
you
to Denver, Manning had one ring and 4 MVPs, and Rodgers now has four MVPs and one ring.
I see what you
The
mean. I see what you
Yeah,
mean.
again, that's just a weird stat. It's not like oh, this is Aaron Rodgers is going to go to the Broncos. The other one was that no most valuable player went to a new team the following year. So there's
Yeah,
like two. Again, not necessarily not like oh Aaron Rodgers. I'm Aaron Rodgers. Oh, I can't break the streak of most valuable players not being on the same team. But there always is that stat out there, and it can start rumors. So
yeah. I mean, I guess it's just a testament to how much of kind of like a weirdo and like I said, kind of a dick he is that he might be the first person to do that. Like,
but I think I would understand him doing it though. Like he's not happy. He's not happy with Green Bay.
I mean, they have made some pretty dumb decisions. I will give him that, but they have given him a head coach pairing that is like they they seem like a good fit together. I guess if they can't, for me, it really comes down to if they can't afford Adams. I understand why he's leaving because I don't think that they're the same team without Adams, and he might feel like he can get closer to that second ring with another team.
Yeah, and exactly like without Adams, there's no Rodgers, and I think you need both of those. Not I think you need both of those guys if you're Green Bay to succeed and get where they are right now. So there might be a lot of restructuring going on to get to be able to pay Adams, and honestly, I don't think Adams will stay if Rodgers is leaving. So there's going to be Adams and Rodgers are going to talk. They're going to have a ton of conversations. That like I don't think they're going to be separated unless I can see Devonte Adams going to Vegas because of Derek Carr and they played in college.
Yeah,
That's the only other team I can see them. I can see Devonte Adams going to without Aaron Rodgers. That's the only team.
yeah. I mean, I do think it'll be a little tough for a new team to accept both contracts that are well, to accept to trade for Aaron Rodgers and get. Wait, they would have to trade for Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah,
I'm not. Yeah,
Rodgers is not a free agent.
yeah. I thought so. I was just double checking, so I didn't sound really, really dumb.
Devonte
But
Adams is a free agent though. I
yeah,
That is okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, Adams is a free agent, so you have to sign him and then take on Rodgers' contract, which I that is a lot of money. Seeing as Adams is asking for 30 mil,
But
I think, a year.
maybe Rodgers takes a pay cut though. Like there's always
Yeah,
that. If he's happy, if he wants to be with Adams and away from Green Bay, and this team can make that happen, I think I wouldn't doubt that Rodgers takes a pay cut.
I could see that. I could see that.
Brady did it.
Yeah, Brady seems like uh, Brady has never like chased the money though.
Yeah,
I,
he really wasn't.
I guarantee that like I guarantee other teams would have paid a lot more than the Patriots for Brady because the Patriots just don't pay their players like that
No,
much.
I think the biggest contract Brady signed was like 50 million over a certain amount of time.
Yeah. So, but Aaron Rodgers broke the record for the um most pay per year for a little while,
Yeah.
I think. And so yeah, I feel like he's just more of a guy where money didn't even seem like that much of a factor to Brady when it came to playing.
No, because if it did, he would not have been on the Patriots for 20 years.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
there's no way that would have happened. But he was again. Brady was almost like he won 3 rings on his rookie contract. So like now I'm just here to play. I've already done what not a lot of people like. He did what Joe Montana did in his first 4-5 seasons in the league as a 6th round pick. So he was almost. It's almost like you could probably say like not that he said this, but you could probably say, "Oh, I'm just here to have fun now." So just as long as you're paying me a decent amount of money, I'll stay. I'll stick around.
Yeah. I think that for him, obviously the GOAT, but I think that it
Yep.
just built his legacy even more that he stayed with the Patriots for most of his career. Like MJ, a lot of people think is a GOAT. Even though he had that stint with the Wizards at the end, he was a Chicago Bulls player. And
Yeah.
Brady is a little different because he had that last Super Bowl with Tampa Bay, but
I
it's
think
just
that I think that just cements himself as even more of a goat. He has more Super Bowl rings than any other NFL franchise ever.
I'm just saying he's synonymous with the Patriots,
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
how MJ is synonymous with the Bulls, even though they played for other teams for a little while. That is just their team.
Yep. Yeah. Well, not, since we're talking about basketball, and we have a few minutes left. Um, I'm not. I'm gonna say it right now before I get made fun of. I am not like I will follow basketball once the NFL season is over. I I generally have no idea what's going on in that sport, except for yesterday. The trade deadline was crazy. So the main one I wanted to talk about was Ben Simmons and James Harden. Um, that was like Ben Simmons was that he was there. That trade, not a lot of people didn't think that was ever going to happen. Um, but now we got Ben Simmons on the Nets, and James Harden is now on the 76ers. So, what are your thoughts on that?
So I think it's a win-win for both teams. I think Simmons clearly does not fit with Embiid, and I think that Harden will better. Even though Harden is still pretty ball dominant, he's not he he is definitely on the downward part of his career. Like he's starting to not be as good as the Harden we all knew from the Rockets.
Houston, yeah,
Yeah, but and although I maybe he just was trying out like a different play style because he was on the Nets, but that's besides the point. I think that he I think that he will fit with Embiid a lot better. who Embiid is having a great year. I just think that Harden is the kind of player who is not going to like eat up the paint like Simmons does when it comes to like there's just not enough room for Simmons and Embiid to be like on the same court on the same side of the court together. It,
Yeah,
it just doesn't like fit. But then on the Nets side, I think that it'll also be better because Simmons, although he is really a ball handler like Harden, I don't think that he's quite as dominant as Harden is. He's not going to
no,
be like he's not going to need as many touches as Harden does. And I think that with KD when he's healthy and Kyrie, I think that that'll fit a lot better. Like with Kyrie, maybe he takes a little bit of a step back on his playmaking. Not, I'm talking about Simmons still. I'm saying
yep,
that like with Kyrie on his team, maybe he takes a step back from the playmaking, plays more of like a power forward role, and just focuses on scoring a lot more. I think that he, although he might not develop that jump shot or whatever, he might just be he'll fit into that kind of role a lot better than what they were trying to make him do in Philly.
yeah. I don't think Kyrie can play in New York yet.
Yeah, yeah,
So Ben
yeah,
Simmons will be the Ben Simmons is going to be that guy in when they're home and playing against the Knicks, and Kyrie will be the ball handler with outside of New York, and Simmons can stick to that more dominant. But I my so you mentioned how James Harden wasn't like the James Harden we're used to seeing. Aside from Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant in Oklahoma City, he has not been surrounded by as much star power as he was on the Nets. And like I think I saw a stat like Kyrie, KD, and James Harden like together they only played like 16 games over the
yeah,
course of like the season and a half that they had together. So like
and they went 13-3 in those games.
yeah. So maybe it's just where there was so much around him. Like Kevin Durant was definitely like when he was healthy. I don't know if he's back yet. I know he hurt his knee a few weeks ago. Um, when when it was just James Harden was carrying the shit out of the Nets. I know that for a fact.
Yeah,
So maybe it has to do like the fact that he hasn't been putting up the numbers that he was in Houston is due to the fact that he's playing with Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant is an absolute monster and he's most of the points are going to Durant and James Harden is just kind of that like I would say Chris Paul to James Harden for that what was it 2 years and they had in Houston.
yeah, he's the facilitator.
Exactly. So I think he's going. I think we might see because Joel Embiid's obviously a superstar, right? But he's
Yeah,
not. He's not a 3-point shooter. He's not going to be. He's a point. He's going to be in the paint.
yeah.
So we will see. I think in Philly, I think we will definitely see James Harden putting up a lot better numbers than he was in Brooklyn. And that's just so weird to think about. That like 2 years ago, if you told me that James Harden was going to be in the Philadelphia 76ers after getting traded from the Nets, like that's just such a weird thought.
I know
Like
it is really weird.
I'm still not used to seeing him in a Nets uniform. Like it's even seeing the old pictures of him with Oklahoma City is weird. Like he's always been like to me at least he's always been a Rocket, and I
Yeah,
can't see him at anywhere else.
yeah, yeah. And I don't want to forget there were other people in this trade involved. Seth Curry also
Yeah,
went
he's a
to the
great
Nets.
shooter. Great shooter.
Yeah, he is a piece. He's definitely not to be forgotten about. I think that if it comes playoff time, he can definitely be very valuable for them when it comes to like the clutch. And even though he on a team like that he
He'll
might
come
not
he'll
get
come
it.
off the bench probably, but even
Yeah,
off the bench, I think he's really good. Like he's probably one. I don't. I mean, again, I'm not like huge basketball guy, and I don't know the stats very well, but I'm pretty sure he's one of the best shooters in the league right now.
Yeah, efficiency wise, he is very, very up there. But I was just gonna say that I think even though he is like an amazing clutch shooter, I guess on a team like the Nets, you're going to give the clutch shots to KD. Like that
Oh
that's
yeah,
it, that's just how it works. But I mean, I think that he is still very valuable, obviously, and but because a lot of people are seeing it as like the Ben Simmons for Harden swap, I think he's getting forgotten about a lot.
him and Andre Drummond is going to be great off the bench too. I think.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, true.
I think the Nets definitely. I don't know. I think the Nets definitely won this trade, but Ben Simmons also should be happy, and the 76ers should be happy that they don't have to deal with his shit anymore, and they have Harden now, who I think obviously is a better 3-point shooter,
Yeah,
just a better shooter in general.
I
So
think I think it's really a win-win right now until we, assuming that Harden picks it up a little bit on the Sixers. If he doesn't, then the Nets definitely won.
yeah,
But
well, because the
yeah,
Nets got a lot more out of it, right? Did the
yeah, yeah,
Sixers?
they did.
What did the Sixers get besides Harden?
I think it was just Harden. I think. Hold
Huh.
on, let me double check.
I'm looking it up right now. I can't.
Yeah, Harden for Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and two firsts. So
They
they
gave
got
up a
a whole lot.
lot for that.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
yeah,
Um, yeah. The other I would say huge trade was. I mean, nothing's as big as Ben Simmons for James Harden. Um, but the CJ McCollum trade to New Orleans is big too. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know the whole trade details for that one. All I know is that seeing like I'm kind of sad to see McCollum and Dame go out the way that they did with no ring to show for it. Like I think that they had like a 3 or 4 year run where they were like you could probably see them in the finals. I shouldn't say 3 to 4 years. It was most like they were in the playoffs for 3 to 4 years, and there was like a 1 year that they looked like a finals team.
Yeah, they. It is definitely not satisfying to see it end like this, but I mean the Trailblazers are hot garbage this year, so they just need to
Yeah,
blow it
for
up.
real. Yeah,
Like
I
I
think Lillard's next. Lillard will come in the off season though.
yeah, which that'll definitely be weird to watch. 'Cause
Celtics should pick up the phone for that one. I would be very happy about that.
yeah, I think that he's another guy who's just gonna be so weird to see not in a Trailblazers
Oh
uniform.
yeah, no, absolutely. Same with like I I, I was gonna say Porzingis, but he was with the Knicks. So where did he go again? I don't even remember.
Porzingis went to the Wizards, I think. Hold on, let me double check. Yeah, to the Wizards
Wizards. That's gonna be
for
weird.
for Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans.
Spencer Dinwiddie's. I think he's pretty good, isn't he?
I know he was. I have not. I
Uh, do you
I'm
remember?
not.
Do you remember Karis LeVert? That name just
Yeah,
randomly popped in my head, and I think he's on Indiana right now.
I think he actually just got traded to someone. Maybe he
I'm gonna look
definitely
him up.
just got traded. But
I liked
yeah,
him. He was like before. I shouldn't say before because Kyrie and KD were both hurt the year that it happened. But when they were in the bubble, Karis LeVert was like carrying the shit out of that Nets team, even
yeah.
though they
I
didn't
mean,
make it anywhere other than the first round. But he was fun to watch. He got traded to Cleveland, so that like makes Cleveland even more fun to watch because they have Sexland over there with Colin Sexton and Darius Garland.
yeah.
I gotta
I
start watching basketball again, man. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, same. I feel like we might sound a little bit like idiots when it comes to this. I'm not completely up to date on basketball either, but
No. Hopefully, football ends Sunday. Obviously going to be upset about that, but there's always basketball to look forward to, so we can start talking a little bit about that too. So hopefully we can actually get to start understanding what's going on in the sport and not know where people are on which
yeah,
team. But the Celtics did make some, honestly, some weird moves. I can't say I really liked them. Like, I don't
I,
know what the point of
I
bringing Daniel Tice back was, other than like he had his games with us. So
yeah,
like I understand why they'd want to do it, but like why did you do it? They got rid of
yeah.
Langford for Derek White, who's good. I'm not complaining about that, but I thought Langford I think is younger too.
Derek White is good though. Like he's probably gonna start. I think
Well,
he
he's a shooting guard, so
yeah.
Jalen Brown's our
Well,
starter.
I thought I
Jalen
thought that
Brown
they
is
were
listed
running
as a
like
shooting guard.
oh see I thought that
Yeah, I'm looking at the roster right now. So I'd
I thought
assume I'd assume Smart would start at point guard, right? Because we got rid of Schroeder, who I don't
yeah
even think started anyway. Tatum would be the small forward. Brown would be the shooting guard. Horford would probably be the center. Or no, Horford would be power. He's listed as a power forward. I'm so lost. And then Robert Williams would be the center. But I could
yeah.
definitely see Derek White starting in there.
See, I was confused. I thought that they had moved Tatum to power forward and started running Brown at small.
I mean, they
But
could have, and CBS just didn't update their depth chart. But Jalen Brown's the shooting guard. Tatum's listed as a small forward.
yeah, yeah, that makes more sense. But still, Derek White is he's a very like if the Celtics make it into the playoffs, because
Which, I mean, I have been like, I've watched a few of the games for the past few. Like, I watched the Pistons game, the Magic game, and the Nets game, and they won like their last six in a row, and they're playing right now. Actually, they're currently losing by 6 to Denver, but they're
Denver's
30. They're 31-25, and they're sitting at seventh. Yeah, they're sitting at seventh in the East, which is in the play-in bracket, which is I think where they were last year. I believe.
yeah. I the Celtics are a kind of annoying team to be a fan of because I feel like
Exact. Yeah.
they always underperform, and then in the playoffs they give you hope again, and then they
I
lose.
I gotta say that 2017 team or 2018 whatever it was when they with Terry Rozier and Tatum's rookie year. Oh my God, that team was so fun to watch. That was
Yeah,
like I've never had more fun watching basketball than I did when that team made that run. I like even Isaiah Thomas. Like we need to bring that man back. He was so fun to watch. But
yeah, yeah,
it's always like in the bubble. I thought they were gonna make the finals. They looked like the best team, and then they blew it to Miami, who ended up losing in the finals anyway. But they had that 2017 team, man, was like I they made it to Game 7 against Cleveland. That was nuts. That
yeah.
was such a good team.
I wasn't like a huge basketball fan at the time, so I wasn't really watching it. But I have obviously heard about it, and you know, all the young Celtics players that I now watch were there. So
Yeah, like basketball, I gotta say probably one of the most hype sports to watch. Like if especially in the playoffs, like a Game 7, and it's close, and you hit a 3-point shot to put you up by like 2 points or 1 point or whatever it is, even to tie it, like the place goes nuts.
Yeah.
Like it's it's definitely one of the more hype sports to watch, I would say. You
My thing is with it though is that a lot of times I will just kind of sit and get distracted a lot until it comes down to the final 10 minutes or so.
yeah. Like that I cuz we kind of have to wrap it up. We're like an hour 15 in, but I not to interrupt you, but that I remember we watched that Trailblazers Nuggets game 7 game in the I want to say conference semis. Maybe it was the quarterfinals, but it went to like 4 overtimes. It was 2 in the morning because it was in Denver or whatever or Portland, and so it was 10 o'clock, 10:30 game time. Game went to 2 in the morning, 4 overtimes, and I remember Rodney Hood hit like 4 shots and 4 3-pointers in the fourth overtime, and like I would say the Trailblazers are like a top 3 favorite team for me in the NBA. So like watching that game, that was like I'm assuming you remember that, but that was such a hype game to watch.
I do. That was fun. It was interesting.
It just was back and forth for 4 hours. It was crazy. But all
Yeah.
right, I didn't. I feel like I interrupted you, so I don't know if you had anything else to add. But
I don't think I did. I
all
think
right, all right. Well, so the Super Bowl is on Sunday. So Mattias' score was 35-24 Rams. I had 2017 Rams again. I think we both agree that it's going to be fun to watch, and we're rooting either way. This is going to be hopefully one of the most entertaining Super Bowls we've seen in a long time. So, thank you for listening. If you made it this far, we'll hopefully be back next week. There was no episode last week because I was sick the entire week. So, um, yeah, hopefully we can get one out for you guys next week as well to cover the Super Bowl and everything that happened. So, with that being said, thank you for listening, and we will see you guys next week.
thank you. See you later.